Be careful of these pumps. They are margin trader pump and dumps for the most part. We might get an occasional deal. Remember when AVAX did a deal with Amazon? Sure. But I'm really leery of these. If these companies don't have a revenue model or an earnings play, I'm not buying them. So that's why things like EOS and Curve Dow, et cetera, just because it's in the chat, and many of these that I previously like Fetch and AIOZ, they maybe later in the altcoin season when people have money, they're selling their Bitcoin and ETH and Sol, that's when these will run. But until then, I'd be very careful. SUI example, I skipped right over that, is in a exception because this also pulled back to its golden pocket and is trying to put in a bottom. SUI is in the transaction per second game along with Solana, and it hasn't had that big move. There's usually one or two coins that have that runaway lockout move every cycle. What we want to be watching for is who is it? I thought it was going to be Stacks or maybe Ondo, and it still might. These are my altcoin, five horsemen here: Aptos, Filecoin, Helium, Ondo, Stacks, but I will be adding some SUI. I did buy some SUI, but starting slow here and letting it get up and prove itself. And that's a good way to look at it. Prove yourself. Have it get above the 50-day EMA, get above this sell block, start turning higher, and then it would have to certainly clear these sell blocks and old highs. So, it's still a tricky time in the market. It's never been designed to be easy, but going to skim down through all these coins and see if anything jumps out. Cosmos up 6%. These are just kind of dead, sadly. And still a good blockchain, Atom and AVAX, but it's all narrative driven, and the money's got to come from somewhere. I mean, just these 10 years from now, we'll be looking back saying, oh, we should have, could have, but right now, is that the best use of capital? Not so much. Pendle looking interesting, by the way. Clearly, this zigzag was absolutely horrendous. And so we'll just delete it. But as markets go, they're unpredictable. Seeing some buy pressure on this. It's on US MEXC. For those of you that like Pendle, I know Arthur Hayes does, but it just doesn't quite look good to me. All right, so we will work over to those other charts, just skimming through to see. But again, now I'm realizing I'm the hammer looking for a nail. Today isn't the day we should be looking for opportunities going into this volatility later today. So let's switch over and go over to check out EOS. Here's some fun, useless trivia. In 2014, I was invited down to a Bitcoin mastermind on St. Martin by a friend who was early Bitcoin, and he had 3,300 Bitcoin on, yes, I said that right, 3,300 Bitcoin on Mount Gox. And at one point and lost it all, but he had this mastermind in St. Martin, and Stan and Dan Larimer, the founders of EOS, were there, and everyone was murmuring this is the next Steve Jobs, and EOS just never kind of quite got there. Dan Larimer founded EOS and Steemit and some of those other early projects. So wait a minute, this is the wrong one. What am I doing there? That looks like a stock, so I clicked on the wrong one, you guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, there we go. EOS, Coinbase. So I'll always double check those things, obviously. Yeah, chart looks interesting. The question is, is there any news? Look at this, though. The 21-day crossing the 50, and last time that happened, this thing had quite a run, to 200%, 2x. So something's up with EOS. But would I chase it here? I'd probably wait for a pullback, and this is probably momentum driven unless there's news with it. Let's see, 7%. Not really. So no, the volume's there, but again, these can be manipulated by these margin traders. I don't know though. Had we been watching it, that green block all the way along accumulation. And this is what I'm hoping for Solana is, we had this nice along the side, starting to put in higher buy blocks. Anyway, I'll get off the Solana bandwagon. Otherwise, you guys will send me a Solana cheerleader outfit probably. So Anyway, on this, if it pulls back down in the under 70 cents, sure, I'd buy it. It has maybe 20% to go, and it's probably, look at that. I bet you it's up toward the upper Bollinger Band, so you don't want to chase these. Yeah, see that? When you look at charts long enough, as I do, you can tell this is above its upper Bollinger Band. This will come back down, and maybe look at that after hours today for a momentum swing trade. Nice volume on that. And I would, maybe just for fun, set a buy order under 70 cents, and you could run it up to $1, 30% gain, and give or take. The math isn't quite right on that. 70 cents to $1, maybe a little bit more. But on the weekly, let's take a look at that. Let's see, just kind of meh. Weekly, not so well, I take that back. All right. That's why we have these indicators. So weekly, TSI above 20, looking good there, and our RSI Pro showing bullish divergence on that. So that's a good sign on the weekly. So look, might be worth a swing trade. I'm not really prone to these risking my capital right now on these low caps. All right, Curve Dow and CRV, I believe, yes, Curve Dow token. So that's, before the sell blocks loaded, I was like, that's a nice looking chart. But, again, I'm grateful we have these, because take a look at this. Without the order block detector and without having the ability of having that, our Wizard of Oz, let's just call it our Wizard of Oz indicator, because it allows us to see behind the curtain. Hey, this is not a bad looking chart. 21-day coming up to cross the 50, potentially ERI green. And let's look at our other signals, kind of going green, but then all we have to do is go to the order block detector, and that's an immediate invalidation. All of these sellers are going to drive that thing down. I wouldn't buy this. If you have any, personally, I'd sell it. I would rather buy into strength if it can break above this zone here, and interestingly, you see how it pushed right up to the midpoint of that vector candle there, that fair value gap. I'll move it down because the midpoint of this candle is that fair value gap that we talked about, and it rejected there. So this does not look bullish to me yet. It would have to get above the 61 cents on a closing basis, and then then I think it could run to 93, but it doesn't. I'm not a huge believer in the Dows and so forth. They can certainly have a run. What I would wait for is this kind of a cross, 21 over the 50. But what was different then, as we can see, is that was where there was huge buy orders. See that? Here are sell orders. So I don't, I'm not bullish on either of those. All right, let's see. Don't try to front run low caps. Wait for the run up to play small caps. Yeah, exactly. Because you might be waiting forever on these low caps, and maybe they never go. And so, we want to be careful of those. So again, stay with this cycle. All of, we still seem to be on the 4-year cycle, just a bit delayed. And the timing of these things is the impossible thing to nail down, because there's so many variables. Who's it going to be in office? Is it political friendly or not? SEC, economics, and this, these are unprecedented times. We've never really seen these economic conditions with Bitcoin. Certainly Bitcoin came out of the 2008 financial crisis, but we have no idea how it will perform if we have another one. And they are doing everything they can to prevent having another one. So again, it's short-term pain, long-term gain. Maybe this pushes the cycle out into 2026. I don't know. I'm still seeing, hearing, and feeling that end of this year, October, November 2025 is kind of when we'll see that peak mania. And we can ride it if it extends, but we'll be watching extra carefully for these bear market signals. Let's see, Hyperliquid also have been beaten down. I mean, I like this double bottom, but I don't like this red up top. It's kind of a clear warning, stay away from altcoins here. Let's see, ETH, BlackRock buying up ETH in droves. I had heard that. I don't know. Somebody had reported that. I don't have empirical info on that. Let's see if the news is reporting it. And that may be true. There's always a point where people are like, ETH, and then it just explodes. But I mean, buying ETH here would be a risk-reduced trade here because we have the buy block all the way down here. Is this a support zone? Yeah, kind of. It's under 2000. ETH under 2000 is a good investment long term, I'd say. I'm just never been that crazy about ETH, and they don't, aside from being able to transact, albeit at very high gas fees, it doesn't really have that much function other than a layer one for other layer two projects to build on. And that's kind of the concern is that what does ETH really do? It's a great network, but it's not Bitcoin. And so I'd be careful believing that all the whales or BlackRock is buying in droves because it hasn't moved price very much. And there's a lot of sell pressure here in this 2000 range. So again, I wouldn't buy this. Not yet. This is using our ice analogy. It's drowning from here, since all the way here. It's way underwater. If you were going to buy ETH, I'd put a buy limit at 1800 or 1775, maybe 1800. That's buyable. See this little double bounce, but I'd have a stop loss right below this buy block here. And personally, I'm not going to own any ETH right now. If it comes back up above 2000 and turns to this support, then maybe. But most likely, because this chart does not look good here on this weekly chart. The 21 crossing the 50 week to the downside, losing support here, has some buy support in this range, but I don't know. It's your money if you'd like to invest in it. Doesn't look great to me. Let's see. Now we started to have some nice movement on some things in the opening part of the day. It's kind of cooled off. I guess people were saying, hey, maybe we should de-risk ahead of the 4 p.m. The press announcement, I guess, where they're going to be talking about the tariffs. And I would expect some volatility on the downside down there as well. I'm looking for right now and into tonight are some good buying opportunities to come back in these ranges, and even if we had a spike down into these 120 ranges, again, these are for me, my safest signals, multiple layers of buy blocks. Doesn't mean that's 100%, but I'd rather risk and put my money there than elsewhere where you don't have that. Hey, this is Brett from Moonstream. If you'd like to learn more about our pro trading signals or our live classes every Wednesday or our Retire Rich program, go over to moonstream.io/start.